We're less than 1 week away from the first actual season game for the Green Bay Packers, and that means we're back for another season of green and gold goodness. We'll preview the game against the Eagles in Brazil, complete with my keys to victory, as well as plenty of feedback from you, the listeners. All this and more coming up next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Podcasting since 2005, I'm Wayne Henderson, and I'm so thankful that it's finally time to dust off my microphone, talk about an upcoming Packers game right here on the Packers Fan Podcast. You know it's the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion, Green Bay Packers. And Scott, and so glad to be talking Packers football with you again. What is happening?
Right back at you, man. It has been way too long. I kind of expected us to do a bunch more episodes in the summer, but there just wasn't a whole lot of super interesting things happening outside of the draft. At least not worth doing an entire episode. But like Wayne said, I'm Scott from the Gaming Outsider Podcast. And boy, does it feel great to be talking about Packers football once again. It's the glorious time of year when we get to look forward to games that actually matter. Yeah. And let's not forget about all those fantasy football drafts that are happening. We've actually got one later this afternoon. It's episode 298 of your Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. Let there be football. The Packers are heading out to Brazil to face the Eagles. This is going to be a very, very special game.
And speaking of special, it's fantastic to have you, dear listener, back with us, sharing your highlights as well. And we're going to be playing them a little bit later in the show. So the big question, Scott, before we get to football is, how was your summer vacation? Isn't that the tradition?
Yeah, it was gone in the blink of an eye, man. My wife decided that we needed a new deck on the back of my house. And rather than, hire somebody to do it while I relaxed and played video games, we decided to hire a friend of ours to do it, and I would help him throughout the summer. So that started back in, late June, early July. It's still not done, man. It's still not done. The framing is completed, and the decking actually showed up yesterday, and the railings. So after we build some steps, we're going to be putting the deck on and building the railings. And
wow,
fingers crossed it'll be done, by Halloween at this point. To be fair, it's a 16 by 31 foot deck, so it's a lot of work. And we're actually doing it the right way. Drilled 12 42-inch holes in the ground, for footers, poured cement, did everything the way you're supposed to code, got it approved by the city. So that thing's not going to go anywhere, but I'm doing composite. I don't know if you've ever had a composite deck, Wayne.
I have no idea if I have or not.
If it's either wood or composite, and wood you got to stain every season, right? Composite you just spray off with a hose, and it's great. Yeah, it's like a mix of plastic and wood. Yeah, it's great. So I'm not going to have to stain it every year, which is great. But outside of that, lots of prep for my upcoming video game convention and trying to squeeze in some video games here and there. How about yourself?
My day job kept me busy all summer long. I had a couple Fridays off. I have no adventures to tell and nothing that would compete to last spring's trip to Japan. But I've seen some of the pictures of that deck, and you're not kidding. That thing is going to be a deck. You're going to have some parties back there when that thing's done.
It's going to be huge for sure. And speaking of teaching, I don't know if our listeners are aware, but I actually have a new job. I'm no longer teaching elementary school. I'm teaching middle school. As of this year, so it's been a completely different world. And I got to tell you, Wayne, I've been so confused about what you do for a living, because you say that you work in the print shop, and I was like, right. I didn't understand what that means. I work in elementary school. We just go make our copies and everything. At middle school, there's a woman that actually works back in with the copiers, and you can send her files and say, hey, I need this many copies of this, and then she'll put them in your mailbox for you and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that must be what Wayne does.
All day, every day.
Yeah. So anyway, that's enough about decks and school.
And black and white collated copies stapled up in the upper left corner and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Is it A4 paper? Is it 8.5 by 11? Who knows? It's Packers news time, and some things really started to happen, especially over the past few weeks, because both of our backup quarterbacks from training camp have been let go, and we traded next year's 7th round draft pick to get Malik Willis from the Titans. So he is now officially our backup quarterback. We also let both of our kickers go after having a, training camp and preseason competition. Neither of them are quite up to snuff. We let both of them go and picked up one of those from the Titans as well.
Yeah, the kicking situation, I don't know. I was ready to give Carlson another season, another shot, but apparently the Packers front office wasn't. I mean, we've been spoiled for so many years with Mason Crosby, so anything less than Crosby just feels super inadequate. But kickers are professional players just like everybody else, and we have to kind of go in with some positivity and optimism about whoever comes in there. But as for Malik Willis, I'm not super familiar with him. And at first glance, this is like, what are you guys doing? Especially so late in the season, right? But I think that this, if nothing else, shows the confidence in Jordan Love that they're okay with replacing two backup quarterbacks with one other backup quarterback, at least for the moment, because they're not expecting him to go anywhere. Now, granted, knock on wood, right? Anything could happen. We've seen injuries and things happen in the first game of a season. But I think it's a boost of confidence for how they feel about Love and the future of that quarterback position. How about you?
Oh, absolutely. And I also don't know anything about Malik Willis, really, but apparently he's got enough grit and enough training. And from what they saw of him with the Titans preseason, they figure that's good enough. And hopefully nothing does happen with Jordan. And then as far as the kicker that we got from the Titans, I saw somebody post an infographic, and although he doesn't have all that much experience, apparently he's never missed an extra point in college or in the pros. I don't know how that plays into field goals, which really matter. But, like Brett Favre commented on X, he says, just let Jordan Love go for it on fourth down.
I love that comment. That was great. And I kind of like that strategy a little bit too. I mean, that happened a lot last season. There was a lot more going for it on fourth down than I feel like there has been ever, at least in my experience of watching football. So,
oh, yeah. But I think that's because we were a little bit skittish. But this year, it might be because we're extra confident.
Yeah, I like it. The other sad news is that A.J. Dillon, unfortunately, has been placed on IR, likely for the season. It looks like it's a pretty serious neck injury. What a blow this was! We lost Aaron Jones, which was one half of the 1-2 punch, and now we've lost the rest of the 1-2 punch for the season. Especially just because I've been such a champion for A.J. Dillon. That dude is really great at getting those short yardage gains that we need. He's just such a powerhouse. And on top of that, he just seems like the nicest guy, like in terms of just personability and just and the team camaraderie. So I'm hoping that he sticks on the sideline still, even though he's not going to be playing, to cheer on his fellow teammates and keeping that confidence boost going. But man, what a blow this was.
It really hurts, Scott. It really, really hurts. I'm so thankful that we got Josh Jacobs from the Raiders, or we would be in a heap of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, as good as I feel about Jordan Love, I don't want to rely on the passing game. It's been a treat being a Packers fan these last few seasons where they're actually getting a decent running game put together, because I feel like during the Rodgers and Favre years, we were primarily a passing team, and I liked seeing that spread out a little bit to keep the defenses guessing. So, like you said, good thing we got Josh Jacobs there. But man, it's just I hope that running game keeps going. I'm looking forward to seeing what Jacobs does. So,
oh, me too.
Well, Wayne, this season also marks some pretty big changes with the rules in the NFL, primarily when it comes to kicking. Not necessarily field goals and extra points, but with kickoffs and onside kicks. I thought it might be a good idea to talk about some of these changes. It's so crazy that there's such a complicated set of rules for something that takes 25 seconds. You know what I mean?
I'm looking at your list of what you're going to cover, and I'm like, this And then you see it on the field, and you're like, something's different. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I tried to break it down as simply as possible because it shouldn't be this complicated. And I get it. We had complaints in years past about kickoffs were just boring. They always went into the end zone and started at the 25, or was it 25 or was it 40? I can't even remember. It was just there were no more exciting kickoff returns. And the NFL did that because they wanted to protect the players and keep concussions, and I get that. So they tried to come up with a balance between the two. So I got a long laundry list here, but I'm going to try to break it down for you, Wayne. So to start off with, we'll start with the kicking team, the team that is kicking the ball to the receiving team. Every player except for the kicker has to have 1 foot on the 40-yard line, and they have to keep that on the 40-yard line until the ball touches the ground or touches a player from the receiving team.
It's like red light, green light.
Yeah, I mean, before they got to get a running start, right? So again, that's going to alleviate those players getting down there as quickly as they did to give the receiving team a chance to kick it back. The kicker himself is not going to be able to cross the 50-yard line again until the ball touches the ground or another player. So that's the big thing. The other 10 players can't move, like I said, until the ball touches the ground or hits another player. Now, 9 receiving players have to line up in between the 30 and the 35. 7 of those players have to have 1 foot on the 35-yard line. And then players not on that restraining line have to be lined up in the setup zone outside the hash marks. You with me so far?
No, but keep going.
Okay. Then you got 2 returners, and they're going to be standing in the landing zone, which is in between the goal line and the 20. So they're the ones that are going to be receiving the ball back. So then the kicker kicks the ball. There's 3 different places it can land. It can either land before the landing zone, which is before it gets to the 20. It can land in the landing zone, or it can land in the end zone. So far, so good?
Yes.
So if it lands in the landing zone, if it lands before the landing zone, the ball is just placed on the 40. So there's no run back at all. Again, safety. If it lands in the landing zone between the goal line and the 20, then they run it forward. Then those 2 returners receive the ball and they have to run. If it lands in the end zone, a couple things can happen. If it lands in the end zone and stays in the end zone, the receiving team has the choice to either return the ball or down it. If they down it in, boy, I'm confusing myself now. If they do that in the end zone, it's placed on the 20. If it lands and stays in the end zone, same thing, except the ball is going to be placed at the 30 instead of the 20.
Okay.
So, yeah. If it goes out the back of the end zone, it's also placed at the 30. So I'm not understanding the strategy for the kicker. Like, do they want to get it in between the 0 and the 20 and hope that their players get down there to stop them? Because I feel like if those players can't come up to tackle them until they touch it in the 20, they're going to get to the 40 or 50. You know what I mean? And they're going to have that momentum.
Yeah.
So if I'm a kicker, I'm still just kicking it out of into the end zone and letting them start at the 30, because they're more than likely going to get it past the 30 if they run it out, at least. So that way you don't run the risk. What do you think?
And for the receiving team, I mean, that makes sense. I was thinking on the receiving side of things, as far as it sounds like you're only allowed to really do just a fair catch and take a knee if it lands in the end zone. I didn't. Well, I mean, why would you do a fair catch in the 20, inside the 20? I don't know.
Because there's not going to be any players down there. You're going to go. You know what I mean? Yeah. Fair catches would be like on punts.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That'll still be on punts for sure. But again, if I'm a kicker, I have no incentive to kick it in between the 0 and the 20, which to me is the hardest thing to do. To get that ball right in between.
Didn't think of it that way.
So, again, if I'm a kicking team, I'm just kicking it to the end zone and let them start at the 30. So I feel like this whole thing is going to be moot, and we're still going to see balls go out the end zone. But the other big rule is the onside kicks. And the only real change there is still kind of a big one, is that you now have to declare the onside kick before you do it. So you can't try to surprise the opposing team and pretend like you're lining up and then run up and go, oh, now we're going to onside kick it.
But
it's just everybody knows.
Do you have to declare it to the other team as well, or just to the officials?
Well, my understanding is you would announce it to the officials, and then the officials would make the announcement. The kicking team will be doing an onside kick.
Oh, lame.
Which kind of takes the excitement out of it. I mean, it's still exciting with an onside kick, but, I mean, we're never going to have that Pat McAfee returning his own onside kick or, recovering his own onside kick. That's never going to happen again. Not that probably would have anyway, but...
those were the days. The other lame part about it is I heard that teams might not be allowed to do an onside kick unless they're actually behind in the score. So these super surprise onside kicks, like, say, to start the game, that won't be happening either.
And they have to be done in the fourth quarter. Yeah. It can only be done in the fourth quarter.
Oh, the good old days, Scott. Get off my lawn!
Yeah.
It is what it is.
And this one, I don't really understand the safety issue here. I assume that's why they would make the change for safety. But what's the concern here? You're still going to have guys kicking the ball 10 yards, and they're going to be right on top of each other. I don't understand why declaring it makes it safer, because now we know. They're going to know as soon as the ball's kicked, and they have less time to prepare for it. But I don't know, man. I don't like this one. No. I think the kickoff ones are too complicated, and I think it's going to be kind of a moot point because it's just going to go in the end zone anyway. But I genuinely don't like the onside kick rule because that takes the fun out of it. It takes the excitement out of it.
Maybe they should just simplify all the kickoffs, whether it's onsides or not, and do kind of like they do in the Australian rules football league, where the official comes out. It's kind of like the hockey face-off. They come out, they spike the ball, and all hell breaks loose.
Oh my goodness! An official doing that just seems like a bad idea, because then how are they biased?
Okay, again with the safety or bias.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so anyways, keep all of those in mind, listeners.
Or just drop it from the blimp.
Oh,
right in the middle of the field, and then just right on the 50-yard line.
Well, if it's a windy day at Soldier Field or Lambeau Field, good luck getting it to land anywhere where you plan to land it.
Yeah.
But that could be fun, too. Hey, everybody look for the ball. Here it comes.
It was like a foosball game. Just got a ball randomly dropping in the middle of a field.
It could be. Oh, we are back, and so is our weekly poll question. We posted in our Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com, as well as on X at Packers Fan Pod. And to get this thing started, wanted to know, how much do you think having this first game in Brazil will affect our Green Bay Packers, for better or worse? Is playing in Brazil for the first time going to be just a huge challenge for still a very young team? Or since there is supposedly an overwhelming support for the Packers in Sao Paulo, is it going to feel like a home game? Or it's kind of like a Super Bowl. Neutral site feels just another game. What do you think, Scott?
Well, I got a big question, and it has to do with this Corinthians Arena in Sao Paulo. Is it a domed stadium or is it a open stadium? Do you know?
I do not know, but that's a nice variation on what could happen.
Yeah, I tried to look it up. I could not determine. I guess I should have looked up maybe an image of it. But it does look like it is open, so it's not a dome stadium. So that's really, to me, the only thing that could make a difference, because it's a little bit closer to the equator than Philadelphia or Green Bay would be. This would be a Philadelphia game. So, but I'm on the neutral side of this, man. I really don't think the location matters as much unless you are at a home team's place. In this case, neither of us are going to have the actual hometown crowd. Now, I know that there's, like you mentioned, some overwhelming support for Green Bay in Brazil. So it might feel a little more like a home game, but I think at the end of the day, it's a regulation field. It's not any different. It's not like baseball where they've got like different, heights of the back wall and things like that. Everything is still regulation. So the only real thing it could be the temperature, but I think it's already starting to cool down even here by us a little bit. So I
that's
don't
good to
foresee
hear, because this Thursday we're going to be 103.
Oh my goodness! Well, at least this weekend it's supposed to be in. Yeah, it was actually a little chilly this morning, so it'll be nice for putting a deck together if it gets if it cools off a little bit. How about you, man?
For me, I think it's going to be a huge challenge. We're still, I don't know if we're technically still the youngest team in the NFL, but we are among the youngest teams, so I think it could be a huge challenge. Luckily, LaFleur's got a lot more experience under his belt these days, and will have us prepared. So we're going to have to wait and see. And what's interesting, when the votes came in, when you combine Facebook and Twitter, it changes a little bit, because the votes on Facebook, they in the group came out exactly 33% for each one. It was a 3-way tie.
Oh, wow.
For our listeners in the know at PackersCommunity.com. X swayed the votes a little bit because they were not quite as even. So you combine them, and you get 39% of the votes going for it being a huge challenge, 35% going with neutral site feels just another game, and 26% saying, the overwhelming support for the Packers is going to make the difference. It's going to be like a home game. Can I get a Go Pack Go?
Go Pack Go, indeed. And Wayne, I will let you know the Packers do have the youngest roster in the NFL.
Still? Whoa.
Still. Average age is 25.11 years old. And it's not really close. The Buccaneers are second with an average of 25.59. So that's a difference of a half a year. So, yeah, they are the youngest. So it's going to make an interesting season for sure. Let's see what the listeners had to say about that. First up, Garrett Stritzel said, travel games are not a strong suit of LaFleur, though. Yeah, I will agree, but this one's at least not in California. So he's got, and we're not coming off of a bye. So I'm letting bygones be bygones, forgetting the past, man. Those were flukes. That's at least what I'm going to tell myself. Dan Dyler says, I believe it will have the home game feel. However, there will certainly be challenges, especially with this being the first meaningful snaps this team will have. We have many returning players, but make no mistake, this still is a new team with new players and a new dynamic. Well said.
Excellent. Run the ball. Run the ball. And as is tradition, your calls, your feedback, your emails, all your support is the highlight of the Packers Fan Podcast. And we're looking forward to hearing what you think about the games all season long. Remember to be part of the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group and be part of the conversations happening over there at PackersCommunity.com.
Now, for this season, we're recording most of our episodes on Tuesday afternoons. That Wayne is doing that for me because I record my podcast on Tuesday, and I'd rather get all my recording done in one day. So thank you, Wayne, for allowing me to do that. So that will give us and you a little extra time to prepare for thoughts on the show. So keep that in mind. Have your stuff in by Monday night, if at all possible. You can also be part of our upcoming podcast episodes. We want your insights after watching the game against the Eagles, but also your score predictions for the Week 2 matchup when the Packers host the Colts. Wayne, we still gotta figure out Madden, by the way, from last year. We got to figure that out.
There's a reminder later in the show.
All right. Let your voice be heard by either recording your voice, attaching it to an email, and sending it to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com, or by calling the PFP voicemail at +1 920 3PACK-GO. Deadline for your calls will be Mondays at noon Central. Looks like our first voicemail comes from good old Megan. Let's hear what she has to say.
Hi, Wayne and Scott. This is Megan calling just to tell you how excited I am about the upcoming season. I am pumped for the Eagles game starting off in Brazil. I'm excited for Jordan. I'm excited for our vast array of receivers. Everything seems like it looks really good. I did watch the preseason games. I watched the entirety of Game 2 just to prove my loyalty. That was a painful game, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I'm super excited for Jordan this season. I'm very, very disappointed and sad for A.J. Dillon. I feel like he put in so much work this offseason, but, injuries are part of the game, and it's a bummer to wonder if he might never be a Packer again just because he only had the 1-year contract. And just his leadership, losing that would be tough. But excited for the young guys, the new guys, some of the people returning. Hope Christian Watson, Eric Stokes, they all stay healthy. Yeah, just calling to say hi and can't wait for the season. Green and gold, fun, dead and cold. Let's go!
Thanks, Megan. Always great to hear from you. Yeah, the A.J. Dillon injury is just awful. I read that and I had to pinch myself to make sure that I wasn't making it up in my head, because I was like, there's no way. There's just no way. And and like she said, the leadership is truly missed. It's going to be missed. Hopefully he can still do that on the sidelines. Wow. I'm proud of you, Megan, for making it through game 2. Didn't Green Bay score 2 points the entire game? They just got rolled.
Yeah, that safety in that game, that safety that we achieved was the highlight.
Yeah, the highlight of the entire game. Could you imagine, if that were the episode where we're talking about the recap of that game? That's the only positive thing we had to say about the entire game.
That'd be tough.
But kudos to you for sticking through that. It would be hard to do. And she watched all the preseason games. I didn't even watch a snap. I just really struggle watching a football game where it's not going towards anything, and I just trying to get a feel for the players. Maybe I'm a bad fan. I just want to watch football when it's going towards something.
If you were in Japan right now, some of the locals would be giving you the look of disapproval.
That shaking your head with your lips pursed.
Oh, I watched almost all 3 games. I admit that in the second half of game 2, I kind of had it on in the background because I'm like, please let something happen. But game 3, even though it was none of our starters, the fact that it was at Lambeau, the only preseason game at Lambeau, and the fact that we were kind of on fire as far as preseason goes. There were touchdowns. There was all sorts of exciting things happening. I believe a strip sack fumble returned for a touchdown. It was good stuff. So it was exciting and always good to hear from you, Megan. Now let's see who might have sent us a message to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com.
Go, 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 Pack, go! Okay, I'm not going to draw it out for too long because we got a lot to get to. It's been a long time since we've been able to talk Packers. The preseason was pretty fun to watch, even though we were watching the backups. But we got to see we got a little look behind the curtain, so to speak. Jill and I were able to go to the game in Cleveland and see him in person. That was a lot of fun, going there and then the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you ever get a chance, absolutely recommend going there. 6 floors of music amazingness. Then they went to Denver, which was not so amazing, and then faced the Baltimore Ravens at Lambeau Field for their first home game of the season. And absolutely beat the brakes off them. That was great to see. There were some cuts that I didn't expect to see. Kalen King, Anthony Johnson Jr., Christian Welch, but that's the business. It was great to see all the players doing what they do and trying to make the team, and kudos to all those guys that did make a team. Now let's look forward to the Philadelphia Eagles in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I'm really looking forward to a couple of matchups. Josh Jacobs, who's coming from the Las Vegas Raiders, and Saquon Barkley, who is going to Philadelphia from the New York Giants. They are premier running backs coming from a team to a new team. So that's going to be a really interesting dynamic to watch, to see how that plays out, especially since we didn't see a whole lot of either one of them in the preseason. I'm anxious to see how our defense reacts to Jalen Hurts, because he is a running quarterback, and our Packers are not historically very good against running quarterbacks. Also like to see how Cooper DeJean is in Philadelphia, because myself included, a lot of us wanted to see Cooper DeJean drafted by the Packers, and apparently he was Pro Football Focus's lowest rated player on the Eagles during the preseason. So that's kind of an interesting little nugget. another nice little nugget is the Green Bay Packers, their youth. We know that they're a young team. Right now, they have only one player on the roster that's over 30 years old. I am shocked to see that most analysts seem to think that the Eagles are going to win this game, even though they're picking a close game. I just don't see it. This will be a de facto home game from what all the reports we've been saying, that so many people that are in Sao Paulo, Brazil, or in that area are Green Bay Packer fans. One thing to note, this will only be shown on Peacock, which is kind of crazy. That being the second game of the season and the only game being played on a Friday night in an international game, which is the first international game of the season. That's never happened. All the international games are usually played at the week 4 or 5 or 6 or later. It's also the very first time that we've ever played, any NFL team has played in Brazil, and it is the first time since 1970 that an NFL game has been played on a Friday night. Not only that, but it's also versus an NFC powerhouse. I'm picking my wager of fun score of 24-21. And speaking of the wager of fun, Scott and Wayne, don't you owe the listeners something on Twitch, something to do with a Madden game or something like that? Maybe just do a pie in the face. Maybe we'll have one of your family members do a pie in the face. Come on. Somebody won. Somebody lost. Let's see the results. We want to see it. Come on, PFP Nation. Let's get it going. Pie in the face. Pie in the face. Pie in the face. And go, Pack, go!
Oh, Dan. So good to hear from you. Thank you for your message. And you missed the whole wager of fun thing. I think it was on Paramount Plus only. Anyway, no, no, Dan, we've been remiss. We apologize.
Maybe, if we do the pie thing, maybe one that is, orange and blue colored frosting, to smash into your face. That'd be the look of sickness on your face right now. I wish the listeners could have seen it, dude. That was great.
Oh my! I need to dig into the Madden. I've been talking with my grandson who has an Xbox and has Madden. It's just been a crazy summer. Please forgive us. It's bound to happen, and of course, we have to think of a all new competition for this season's Wager-O Fun for the Wayne versus Scott thing. But you bring up a lot of great points that preseason is kind of like a little peek behind the Wizards curtain. He's back there pulling levers and moving things around. I'm so happy you were able to make it to Cleveland, a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Oh, and that preseason game. And I like the rainstorm in the background. And yeah, I forgot that in addition to Josh Jacobs joining the Packers, that Saquon Barkley went to his arch rival, the Eagles. Interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy when those things happen. Interdivisional.
Yes. I can't believe how many former Packers go to the Bears and the Vikings and the Lions. Oh my, it's ridiculous. But this game against the Eagles this Friday night, otherwise known as early Saturday morning overseas, at least here in the States, second game of the year, because the Ravens and Chiefs play Thursday. It's only available on Peacock, at least here in the States. This is weird.
I'm getting tired of the stuff being... I don't want to have to subscribe to every place to be able to watch football.
I know.
It's getting so annoying. And if you want to buy I don't even know what the package is now. Is it NFL ticket? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, the NFL Sunday ticket is still a thing, but it isn't going to get you this game.
Right. It's not even so even that is not going to get you every game. Now, in this case, I'm not worried. I have access to Peacock, so I'm going to be able to watch the game. But they did the same thing with the Olympics. You want to watch the Olympics, you got to have Peacock. This stuff was on broadcast TV. I'm getting tired of it. But the thing that's even weirder to me is that this is on Friday. Don't you think that a lot of people in Wisconsin are going to be torn as to what to do on Friday night? Are they going to stay home and watch the Packer game? Or are they going to go to the high school football games? That's like a legit thing.
Yeah, multitask.
I know that Wisconsin isn't isn't Texas in terms of like how crazy they are about high school football, but it's still a pretty big deal in Wisconsin. So if mom and dad have a kid playing, high school football game that night, they're going to miss the game because they're going to want to go support their kid.
They're going to watch it on their iPhones or iPads while sitting in the stands.
Probably in between downs. I would hate to have to make that decision. I don't like this. Don't get me wrong. I am okay. I'm not one that is only wants football on Sunday. I actually kind of like the Monday night and the Thursday night, but just keep it to those three. You want to throw in a Tuesday every now and then? Sure. But Friday night when there's already something very similar going on every Friday night across the country, don't put an NFL game on a Friday night. Don't ask people to do that. That's just me.
Well said.
All right, moving on. We got an email. I'm going to read that one to you guys now. It says, "Hey, Wayne and Scott, this is Caleb, as well as Kathy and Roy Fisher from Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's finally time to get back to football, and we are excited. But we all are just a little sad about the A.J. Dillon news, that he is not going to be playing a single snap this year. However, we are looking forward to seeing what Floyd and Jacobs will do in the backfield. We're also happy to see the Pack play in Brazil, and hopefully it will be a great season. Until next time, Packers family, this is CCR saying go Pack go, bleed green and gold till dead and cold."
Thank you, Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher. Let's take a look at the game, the details. Your 0-0 Green Bay Packers start the season on the road, technically, and it's a long road because it's all the way down to Sao Paulo, Brazil, to play against the 0-0 Philadelphia Eagles. Goes down, like we said, Friday night, September 6th, 7:15 p.m. Central Time. So at least the kickoff time is something we can wrap our heads around. It's Saturday at 1:15 a.m. for many of our friends overseas. Now, the Packers, all-time, lead the series, as they do with most teams. We lead the series with the Eagles 28 wins to 18 losses. And although we haven't played against the Eagles even 50 times yet, our histories go way back to October 29th, 1933. The Eagles came out to Green Bay. We were victorious 35-9. The Eagles actually didn't even beat us until the 10th time we faced each other, which was December 1947. And how wild, Scott, would it be to have another high-scoring game like just 10 years ago, November 16th, 2014, we crushed the Eagles 53-20. Can that get me a Go Pack Go?
Go Pack Go indeed. I'd love to see any games get that high. I feel like we don't see 50s anymore at all, anywhere. But I would especially love to see it on the Green Bay scoreboard for sure.
Oh, yes, please. And other things that tie together between these two teams, of course, when free agency became a thing, one of the biggest free agents signings at the time is still one of the biggest free agency signings of all time, when the Packers somehow got the late, great Reggie White from the Philadelphia Eagles and helped change our fortunes forever. I remember that happening and going, I don't know why or how this is happening, but nice. Bring it on.
The Minister of Defense, one of my favorite players from back when I was a kid. I don't remember which game it was, but I was watching a game and Reggie White got a hit on somebody, and the announcer, it might have been Madden, I can't remember who it was, said, "Well, you probably felt that one knock the dust off the back of your TV." And that has stuck in my memory for 30-something years now. What a great dude that guy was. So much fun to watch play and so much fun to see what he did off the field as well, too. So, yeah. Man, I love me some Reggie White.
So thank you, Philadelphia Eagles. We appreciate it. And special thanks to the Falcons for Brett Favre as well. Those were wild times. Friday night's weather in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Right now, it changes a lot. And, of course, it's still like a few days away. It looks to be partly cloudy, around 63 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff, which is about 17 degrees Celsius. So not bad at all. Yeah,
that's, like I said, I was talking about being in this open stadium and whether the weather was going to be an issue. That's perfect football weather. Yeah, maybe even it could even be a little cooler, but it's not like playing in Florida, where they're having to have those huge fans and people they're miserable. This is going to be a good football game, and it's perfect football weather.
Well, speaking of good football game and good weather, What's it going to take to add the goodness of a Packers victory? Scott?
Oh, are you alluding to some keys to a Packers victory, Wayne?
Yes. How's the keychain doing?
Doing all right, but we're going to start pretty simple. Strategy number 1, fundamental football. It's my all-time favorite key to victory. You'll hear it a lot this season, but it's a great way to start the year. The Eagles were a tough team last year, and we should expect a solid fight. Best way to overcome that is to get back to basics. 10 yards at a time, not focusing on explosive plays. Just do what you do best when you're going 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 yards at a time, moving the chains and doing solid work. Strategy number 2, let Love get comfortable. Got to let Love do his thing. But like I said with the fundamentals, do it 6 or 7 yards at a time, not the deep ball. He didn't get a lot of experience at preseason, so it's going to take some time to slide into his groove, and the coaching staff needs to understand that and be a little accepting of a few first game mistakes. Don't give up on him when they inevitably will happen. I'm not expecting perfection out of Jordan Love. He had a great season last year. I think he's going to have an even better season this year, but he's going to make mistakes, and don't do what they did with Favre and say, okay, we'll just throw the deep ball and make up for it. No. Fundamental, 6, 7 yards at a time, do it. Lastly is not to let the injuries affect you. Dylan is out, with that neck injury like we mentioned. Aaron Jones is no longer with the team. We're going to be relying on Josh Jacobs a lot this game especially, and this is going to be his time to shine, especially with the weak run defense in Philadelphia. If they've got one chink in the armor, that is going to be their run defense, especially when it comes to their secondary. They're pretty sloppy when it comes to defending the run when they're forced to do so. So the Pack should definitely exploit that weakness and run up some points. And there you have it.
I love this. And I didn't even know that Philly's run defense is a little poor, their secondary. So, yeah, we got to take advantage with whatever we can because we don't want to feel the hurt of Jalen Hurts, that's for sure.
Yeah, how many times do you think we're going to hear that song played during this game?
Oh, Love Hurts.
Love Hurts. The whole opening montage is just going to be Love Hurts, right? It has to be. I'd almost be willing to put money on that it's going to get played at some point.
If they don't do it, I'm going to give them the look of disapproval, for sure.
You alluded to it earlier, Wayne. It is time for our 2024 season wager of fun. What are we going to wager this year? Because we still didn't even pay off our last one. We gotta come up with something. We still got time. So maybe that we should have our listeners write us and let us know, because we are going to make good on the Madden thing. We are going to do that for you guys. You don't have to watch it live. We'll put it on YouTube, all that good stuff. We will make that up to you. But what do you want us to wager this year? Yeah. Maybe Wayne doing a TikTok dance.
No, that's not going to
happen. Something like, I don't know. We'll come up with something. Let us know what you'd like to see one of us do or say or sing or dance or whatever. Maybe we should wait until we actually do the Madden thing and see how people like it and if they want a rematch for next year. Because that was my first win. Just got to say that was my first win. So.
And, we don't need to try to top Scott's performance a cappella of Talk Like a Fan because, that's kind of the pinnacle. So, it's a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're open to that. But we're definitely going to have the competition. And I want to know, because I've been thinking all off season, how is Scott going to call this first game? What kind of score do you, my friend, think's going to happen? Please don't. No more looks of disapproval.
Oh, well, here's the thing, Wayne. Every week, I have to decide if I'm going to go with my head or if I'm going to go with my heart. This week, I'm going with my heart. So for my actual pick, I'm going to say that the Packers are going to win 24-21. I did not hear Dan's prediction until we just listened to that voicemail for the first time. That was his exact pick. As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, I was not copying you, Dan, I promise. But that is what I'm going to do. But if I went with my head, I would honestly say I think the Packers will lose this first game because, again, younger teams need to get a couple games to get into their groove. And there's so many new players and so many players that are, Jones and Dillon are not there. So I think it's going to take some time to get into the groove. But for the sake of this podcast, I'm going with my heart. Green Bay 24, Philadelphia 21. How about you?
I like that. So if we, by some chance, don't have as many points as the Eagles when time runs out, you can't say that you wanted to go with your head.
Yeah. What do you think, man?
Very similar. I think it's going to be lower scoring because it's the beginning of the year. We're all trying to find our footing. Green Bay 20, Philadelphia 19.
All right. There you go. Our PFP listener picks for week number 1 in the Wager of Fun. Everybody starts with a clean slate. Nobody has any points yet. Jay Walters says Green Bay 27, Philadelphia 23. And Garrett Stritzel says Green Bay 28, Philadelphia 17. That's a pretty healthy lead right there.
Like that one. And David Newman says, my brain says we suck at the first games, but I'm going to go with my heart, much like you, Scott, 34-31. And Dan Dyler matching you with 24-21. All of us calling for a Packers victory. I was not expecting that, but I'm very happy.
Yeah, it can't be any worse than that Saints game a couple seasons ago, right? In the opener. I was, man, what a kick in the teeth that first game was.
Yeah. Well, that happens when all of a sudden, like a hurricane comes through. So we're moving it from New Orleans indoors where we were planning to go and be victorious. No, you're going to go down to Jacksonville to play the Saints outdoors in the heat and humidity that you mentioned earlier in the show. And it was all disarray. And yeah.
They did bounce back, but not quite enough to get to the Super Bowl, but I was pretty happy with that season. I would like to take this moment to remind everybody else about my other podcast, The Gaming Outsider. We talk about video games every single week, and this week was no different. We have a brand new episode where we talked about the Sega Dreamcast, which is a console from 1999, turning 25 years old this month. A lot of fun going back and looking at that console. I didn't play it a ton, but my co-hosts loved that console. We're also less than 2 months away from our third video game convention. I would love it if you guys know anybody that likes video games. Please share my website, thegamingoutsider.com/R2V2. We call it the Rock River Valley Video Game Convention. We are having vendors selling video games. We are having video game tournaments. I have rented over 20 arcade cabinets and pinball machines for people to be able to play at no extra cost outside of their event. We are having a developer bring a virtual reality laser tag game that is 3-on-3. We've got a huge room, 4,000 square feet, and it's people running around looking like they're shooting at nothing, but in the game, they're shooting at each other playing capture the flag. We got to play it this past Saturday. He came into town to test it out, and it blew my mind how awesome it is. It's seriously so much fun. And then on top of that, we've got live music. So if you buy a ticket for the convention, you also get free access to the after party where we have 3 live musicians that are coming to play video game music. We got a duo that's a piano player and a singer. We have a full band, and then we have my friend Grant Henry, known as Stemage, or he does several things, but he actually is an amazing guitarist. He's headlining the show. I can't wait to share this with everybody. Please check it out. thegamingoutsider.com/R2V2.
Wow, this gets bigger and better every year. I wish I was in the Rockford area. Come by, go to that, to enjoy some rock music. And then one of the other days, we'll go out to Culver's, and I'll bring my Henderson jersey. Yeah. You can wear it, and I'll get a Butterburger.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's okay. I haven't been to the Midwest for a long time, but that's going to be a great convention. Again, thegamingoutsider.com/R2V2. Check that out. Now, coming up just a little later this week, going to talk Packers Eagles a little bit more. I'm also appearing on the At the 50 YouTube show with Fuji and Fleet. It's on Wednesday, September 4th. The show starts at 6 p.m. Central, and I'm being brought on around 6:30 Central, right after they talk to Randy Cross. Yes, that Randy Cross. So I'm going to be real careful. I'm not going to say anything about the 49ers that night on the show. And we'll have a link to their YouTube show. They've already got the link out for the appearance. We'll put that in our show notes at PackersFanPodcast.com. The YouTube channel, if you want to just go direct, it's at AL Nor Fleet 4. So ALNORFLEET 4. And trying to twist Scott's arm to see if he can be able to squeeze in as well, but we shall see. But they are huge Eagles fans, especially Fuji. So they've been waiting for a chance to talk Eagles Packers. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Special shout outs to our Packers Fan Podcast patrons. Thank you. If you would also like to support the show like these fine folks, check out the details at packersfanpodcast.com/giveback. Jay Walters, thank you, and Go Pack Go for your AR12 level Patreon support as we head into this magical season of football. And Dan Dyler's pledge at the Jordan Love level also gets a Go Pack Go from us. Thank you, Captain Pack Sparrow. Thank you.
Go Pack Go, and thank yous to our Favre 4 supporters, Scott Boers, Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast, and Megan. Oh, I love seeing those names on there. And many thanks to these fine Curly Lambeau patrons. Thanks and Go Pack goes to Brett Connor, Joe Christensen, and Hank Davis from the TPE Network. Again, if you're interested in joining in, check out all the details at packersfanpodcast.com/giveback. Quick reminder, the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast is not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. Do us a favor, tell a friend about the show. If you like the Packers, more than likely you know somebody else that likes the Packers. Tell them about Packers Fan Podcast. We would really greatly appreciate it.
And please follow us on X. Scott still likes to call it Twitter, at Packers Fan Pod. You can follow Scott at GoCastScott. Follow the Gaming Outsider at The GoCast, or follow me at Wayne Henderson, or follow all of us and go crazy. And now, here's our PFP Go Pack Go outro from the community members, Megan, Dan Dyler, Joe Christensen, and Andre, to help carry our Packers to a victory in Brazil.
Go Pack Go!
Go Pack Go!
Go Pack Go!
Go, 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 Pack, go!